Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm very happy to have you here, guys. If you feel like my voice is a little bit raspy or nasally, it's because I was a little bit cold, but I'm feeling much better now. So as you can see, today I want to share my thoughts on a fragrance from Paris Corner called Pear Potion. This was released in 2024. I feel like, of course, you can find decants, 2 ml, 5 ml, 10 ml full bottles of the fragrance on Dubai collection. So if you are interested in trying out this fragrance, and if you're based in the European Union, definitely look it up on the Dubai Collections website. I will leave the website down below. So yes, like I've said, I want to let you know how it smells like, how it developed, if it reminds me of other fragrances, and what are my overall thoughts on the fragrance. So without further ado, you guys, let's just begin. Now, before I start, if you have tried this fragrance, of course, I would love to know what you think about the fragrance. Do you like it? Do you enjoy it? Does it remind you of other fragrances? How do you find the performance? So if you have tried this fragrance, please don't forget to share your feedback on the fragrance. Like I always say, not only that I would love to know it, but I'm sure everyone who's interested in purchasing this fragrance could really use your feedback as well. So as you guys, let me spray this fragrance. I will insert the notes here somewhere on the screen. This fragrance is so beautiful, it's so uplifting, it's so happy and simplistic. Don't expect this fragrance to be like a truly complex fragrance or to go through I don't know what crazy development. This fragrance from the start, it's a beautiful simplistic fragrance, but a simplistic fragrance done very well. Now this opens up. Like the name suggests, this is all about pear. I feel like they really managed to create a beautiful pear accord here that doesn't lean shower gel-like, neither does it lean shampoo, you know, that type. I feel like a lot of fruity fragrances, especially if you pair them with a little bit of musk, a lot of them can go into the shower gel department or into the shampoo fragrance like territory, and I think there's nothing wrong with either of the two directions, but I actually appreciate that this fragrance doesn't go into any of the two. This smells like a very realistic pear accord, the kind of pear, not like your natural ripe pear, but you know what it smells like, you guys, to me, especially in the opening. It smells like store-bought pear juice. It legit smells like store-bought pear juice. It feels a little bit crisp, a little bit, I don't think tang is the word, zesty. It feels a little bit like sweet, but the sweetness is subtle, and you also have a little bit of a, you know, to it, that type of sensation in a sense. Yeah. It feels very bright, it feels very light, it feels very simplistic, very uplifting, very happy. Like I've said, this legit smells like pear juice in the opening. Without trying to, I don't know what kind of description, this legit smells like pear juice. Not homemade pear juice, more like store-bought pear juice, but it smells so beautiful. It's a simplistic fragrance. I feel like this is constructed around a fruity accord, and to be more specific, around pear. I feel like they have listed other types of fruity accords, if I remember correctly. By the way, if you see me cutting here and there, it's because when I speak a lot, I cough. And I don't want to cough here on camera, you know, so I have to cut. Yeah, like I've said, I feel like even though it does have listed other fruity accords, to me the main fruity accord that I detect is the pear. Now, the pear here, it's not your aquatic pear like you have in instance from Ahmed Al-Maghribi, but it's neither your Label from Jean-Paul Gaultier type of pear that like very caramelized, sweet, almost like, in a sense, baked, like rich, warm, with a lot of sweetness in the background. The pear here, it has a slight crisp element to it. It has a slight cold and slightly dewy facet to it. Not dewy in a sense that it smells aquatic, because it doesn't smell aquatic at all, like aquatic blue, it's not that kind of fragrance. Dewy in a sense that it legit smells like pear juice, you know what I mean? Yeah. And it feels quite light and bright and airy, yet it feels round and full at the same time. This fragrance doesn't feel flat, it doesn't feel like a thin fragrance. Indeed, it's a simplistic fragrance, so don't expect like crazy development or anything. But even this being a simplistic fragrance, they managed to create a pear accord that feels quite round, quite full and quite dense, yet light, bright and airy, if you can picture this, you know. Yeah, it feels fresh, but not blue fresh, again, not the type of freshness that comes from citruses. It feels fresh in the sense that it feels airy, it feels light, it feels bright, it feels clean a little bit. Again, without smelling like crisp, clean, musky type of fragrance, you know. So as in the opening you have the pear accord, that's done beautiful if you were to ask me. Sweet, but actually as this fragrance starts to develop on your skin, the pear accord will go even more sweet, which is something that I appreciate, because as this fragrance starts to develop, if you see me looking there, it's because I have the sample there, is because as this fragrance starts to develop, you also start to detect a little bit of caramel there, that gives, not only that it gives warmth to the fragrance, I feel like, because it definitely, as it starts to develop on your skin, it goes from being a more cold fragrance to being definitely a more warm fragrance, but it gets also even more rich, and it has a slight muted sticky sweetness there in the background that comes from caramel. It almost feels, I feel like in the opening it smells like pear juice, in the heart and in the base, you know. When I was a kid, we used to have these kind of like candies, but they're the kind of candies that you could chew on them, you know. They're not like hard candies, they're like soft caramel like candies, you know. And we used to have, they were white, and in the middle they used to have fruit jam. If you know, I will look for some pictures if I can find any. You had them with strawberries, with apple, with pear. Now this one smells like one of those candies with pear jam inside, in the heart. This is a fragrance that definitely has sweetness to it. You also have a slight musky facet in the background and with a slight powdery hint, but I feel like the musk there and the powdery are more like nuances in the background, whereas to my nose at least it's the fruity accord, and even from the fruity accord, the pear to be more specific, that shines the most, and they managed to create a very realistic smelling pear accord. Yeah, it smells fun in a sense. I feel like it smells playful, definitely ultra feminine, very girly, you know. This is for someone who, this is definitely, I wanted to check to see if I still have the mic on. This is definitely for someone who appreciates fruity fragrances, not the kind of fruity fragrances like a bowl of fruit or like an abstract fruity accord. No, this is very the opposite of abstract, you know. You can really smell the pear here. Yeah, and it's beautiful, and I'm telling you, it smells so realistic, and also I feel like in the whiffs it smells even better and it smells even more round and full, whereas when you smell it closer to your skin, you start to get a little bit of the musk there in the background. But this fragrance, I feel like this fragrance was created for the summertime, honestly. When I smell this fragrance, I think of summer holidays. I think of summer, of spring, of, I don't know, honestly, when I smell this fragrance, I think of good times, of fun times, of, I don't know, it gives me this like carefree and playful and flirty and happy and uplifting aura about it, you know. This is definitely not the kind of fragrance that's a serious fragrance. This is definitely not the kind of fragrance that you wear, I don't know, maybe when you're feeling ultra sophisticated and you want something like a statement type of fragrance. This to me is the kind of fragrance that if you want a fragrance that maybe you want to uplift your mood one day, maybe you want a fragrance that feels very innocent in a sense, but without smelling juvenile. I don't find this fragrance juvenile. Yeah, what I wanted to say, you guys, is that I feel like they managed to create a fragrance that, even though it's a fruity fragrance, and usually fruity fragrances are associated with fragrances that are not very serious, maybe with fragrances that smell a little bit too youthful, a little bit too juvenile, a little bit too, yeah, too juvenile, let's just say. They go into the shampoo fragrance department, let's just say. I feel like they managed to create a fragrance that's simplistic, that smells beautiful, that doesn't lean too juvenile, yet it manages to capture this happy, uplifting, playful and flirty aura about it in a sense, you know. This is the vibe this fragrance gives me, but also like very carefree, you know, very like, I don't know, summer in a bottle type of fragrance, you know. So they managed to create a beautiful fragrance for the summertime. I feel like this is pretty much everything I wanted to say about a fragrance. Like I've said, it's a very simplistic fragrance, so there's not much to go into detail about how it develops. The development, even though it does go through a little bit of a development, it's not the kind of fragrance that stays linear, but like I've mentioned, what it happens, it goes even warmer, even denser, a little bit of a little bit of sticky sweetness in the background, you know, that contributes to the sweetness of the fragrance. This definitely has a lot of sweetness. The sweetness to my nose mainly comes from the pear in the opening, but then as it develops you also have a little bit of caramel there in the background, but don't think caramel in the sense of like the full scent profile and texture of a caramel accord, like a sticky, rich, warm dance, you know. You have, in a sense, you have all of these facets, but in a very muted and subtle way here. They just add a little bit of complexity, in a sense, to the sweetness of the fragrance. And the mask here, it's neither your crisp, clean white mask, it's neither your Miskel Tahara type of mask, it's not the baby powder type of mask. I feel like the mask here, it smells bright, a little bit powdery and a little bit fluffy. This is the mask that I detect here. So this fragrance is beautifully done fragrance, very simplistic, very easy to enjoy. Now, of course, is this the kind of fragrance that, I don't know, it will be everyone's cup of tea? I don't know, you guys. It depends a lot on your taste. What I can tell you is that, first of all, test it. But if you know you have a taste for fruity fragrances, I don't think you will have any issues with the fragrance, honestly. I've tried it on my skin, I've tried it on my clothes. So let me touch on the performance actually. Now on my skin, honestly, I haven't timed it properly, unfortunately, but I will insert here the time because I will actually time it today since I've sprayed it. When I received the package from Dubai collection with December Vanilla from Paris Corner, which by the way I have a video on it in case you haven't watched it, with another fragrance from Maison Asrar that I will mention it in a future video, and with a lot of decants from Khatlaj and this one. I think, look, I don't want to say that the fragrance leaked because it didn't leak, but what I can tell you for sure is that when I opened the package, I sensed that something smelled very beautiful there, and I thought one of the samples have crashed, like the glass was shattered and everything, but it wasn't the case. But what actually, I don't know, but there was a little bit of scent here on the paper. And I put all the samples on my desk and I was trying to remind myself, okay, so this is the name, that's the bottle, you know, so I can have like an image in my mind. That's from this brand, that's from the other brand. And as I was like organizing them, let's say, you guys, I kept getting whiffs of this fragrance and I smelled it and I was like, what this delicious smell. Legit, the first thought even then in my mind was like, oh my god, this legit smells like pear juice. Like, I cannot believe it. This legit smells like pear juice. Now, like I've said, what I have came to discover later is that you also have a little bit of caramel here and a little bit of a musk. But it smelled beautiful and I kept getting whiffs of the fragrance as I was testing other fragrances. That I was testing December Vanilla because I knew I wanted to film a video on it very quickly, so I was not testing the samples yet. But I was testing the one from Paris Corner and I kept getting whiffs of this fragrance, and I remember thinking to myself, it smelled so beautiful. This is the kind of fragrance that has almost like a mouth-watering effect, at least to me, because in a sense it does smell gourmand. It's not the kind of gourmand that's like bakery, pastry type of gourmand, you know, but it's the kind of gourmand that you legit have the smell of pear juice, and then in the heart and in the dry down it smells like those soft candies with pear jam that you chew on them. Yeah. So isn't that considered a gourmand fragrance because it's something that you can legit eat or drink, you know? This is why I say that to me it has a slight mouth-watering effect. Now, so yes, like I've said, performance is not an issue with this fragrance. On clothes, of course, on my skin, honestly, I feel like 5 hours is tops that I get with this fragrance from what I remember. But like I've said, I haven't timed it, like actually timed it. So I will time it today and I will update you here on the screen. Projection, you guys, surprisingly, if you spray a lot of it, it really projects. But I feel like it projects more, let's just say, like the first 1 hour to 1 hour and a half. This is not the kind of fragrance that it's not like Arabian Stonka, you know, not only that it's not like Arabian Stonka strength-wise, but also notes-wise, you guys. Usually fragrances that are more like light and bright and airy and these kind of fragrances, even when they project, let's just say in the first hour or so. But what I can tell you for sure is that if you, let's just say, do around 15 sprays of this one, as a reference, I would feel the need to overspray it. You would be able to have a beautiful scent bubble around you, you know, and people who come closer to you, they will definitely be able to smell this fragrance on you. Now, when it comes to seasons, to me, this is a summer and summer only fragrance. Now, luckily, where I live now, it's February, like mid-February. What date is today? Let me see. Okay, it's on the 19th of February when I'm filming the video. So we are slowly approaching spring, very slowly, but we have some days where it's a little bit more sunny and warm, but still I feel like it's still a little bit too cold for this kind of fragrance. This is the kind of fragrance that you would wear with like a flowy dress, with like, I don't know, like summer attire, you know, like flowy dresses, skirts, all kind of t-shirts, you know. This is the kind of fragrance that you could dress it up, you could dress it down. This could be like your easy grab and go kind of fragrance. But again, you need to have a taste for fruity fragrances and for fragrances that have a slight youthful aura to them, but not too youthful to the point where it smells like a fragrance for kids, you know. So yeah, summer. This to me screams summer, screams warm weather. You need the heat, you know, to be able to appreciate the fragrance. You truly need the heat, because in winter it feels like, or maybe I feel this because my taste for when it's very cold outside, it's very different. You know, I prefer spicier fragrances. I prefer fragrances made around rose. I prefer fragrances made around brass notes, balsamic facets, my rose and ouds, my oud, my sweet other fragrances, you know, like heavier gourmand perhaps. So this is the kind of fragrance that for me, I would only wear it in summer or like really hot days of spring. But in summer and really hot days of spring or really hot days of summer, this is the kind of fragrance that could add a slight, almost like a refreshing aura without it smelling refreshing. I feel like if you are looking for a fruity fragrance that's not overly fruity, that's not overly sweet, yet it has sweetness, however it doesn't go into the shampoo or like shower gel department, test this fragrance. Have realistic expectations when it comes to the performance. I would say this, considering how affordable this fragrance is to begin with and how beautifully done it was, buy it with the thought in mind that you're buying perhaps a body spray or an eau de toilette, even though it's more affordable than those, you know, especially from the designer section, and then you will not be disappointed when it comes to the performance. But don't expect this fragrance to last, I don't know, for like 3 nights and 3 days, you know. This is not the kind of fragrance. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram. Here is my handle. I will see you in my next video. If you want to tell me anything, if you have any video ideas, if you have any fragrance recommendations, please put them in the comment section down below, and I promise that I will get back to you. But yes, I will see you in my next video. But until then, thank you so much for watching, and I want to wish you an amazing day wherever you are. Bye guys.